You're listening to the T21 Podcast, brought to you by Down Syndrome Group of the Ozarks. Our mission is to bring life and wellness to families who are advocating towards a community of inclusion for individuals with Down syndrome.
Welcome back to the T21 Podcast. We're excited to have you guys here with us today. I'm Ben Ward, and normally sitting alongside my co-host Chloe Jones, but this month she is taking a much-deserved time off to be at home with her newborn and her family. We're really excited for them, so she's taking this month, but will be back next month with us. But even without her, the show must go on, and so I am thrilled to have Natalie Clark joining the podcast today. Natalie is an occupational therapist who has spent nearly 29 years, several of those with the Down syndrome community, helping children and young adults build confidence, independence, and everyday life skills. Through her stories and personal experiences, we hope this conversation can highlight the importance of connection, acceptance, and how occupational therapy can help individuals with Down syndrome thrive at both school and in life. Natalie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
We're so glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just start right off the top with for people who may not know. OT is probably a pretty common thing nowadays, but for people who may not know, what does an occupational therapist do?
Occupational therapy is centered around helping people engage and continue enjoying all of their activities, meaningful activities, being as independent as possible in things that they enjoy doing. Specifically, it can be anything from kids in schools, which is what I do, adults that have some kind of brain trauma or have had a stroke, help rehabilitate them back to things that they can be more independent with and enjoy.
Okay.
Home health too, it being in their homes and helping them get back to the activities that they enjoy, but basically just helping them get back to as much independent of their life as they can.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said, you just mentioned you've worked mainly in the schools, but there
Yes.
are other avenues out there. What kind of is the difference from like a school-based OT to like maybe an outpatient OT or something like that? Kind of like, what do you specialize in doing with it being school-based?
School-based is ages 3 to 21. Okay. Once they reach that age, the school takes over if they are deemed if they need the services. So basically it's helping them with their education. So anything that helps them further their education, be more independent at school, is kind of how OT is centered around that. So we work on everything from fine motor skills, self-regulation skills, visual perceptual skills, a lot of adaptations, helping them learn strategies, using different aids that might help them be more independent in the classroom, and a lot of collaboration and work with the teachers and other therapists is key, and parents.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure parents are heavily involved in that type of situation. Awesome.
I have a lot of great parents, so.
No, that's awesome. And I just said in the intro there, as you told us, you've been in that industry for nearly 29 years now. How long have you been involved with working with individuals of those 29 years with Down syndrome?
I would say my first job was in a nursing home. When I got out of grad school, I was like, I am not working with kids. I do not want to do that. So I love older people. So my first job was in a nursing home, and I did that for about a year. And I was like, well, I kind of want to, see what else is out there. So I got hired on and was able to work for a guy where we did everything. We did schools, we did outpatient, we did home health. We still had some nursing home contracts. So I was able to kind of get my feet wet with different avenues, and I fell in love with the kids after all. So
easy to do.
Yeah. So he quit his business, and then we were able to, a lot of us therapists were able to get some of his school contracts independently and be self-employed. So I grabbed onto several of those, and so I would say I've worked a little bit with individuals with Down syndrome starting probably second year, but really heavily in the last 22 years.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
So for quite a while, a couple decades.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's really cool. What I love what you just said, how you kind of just fell in love with the kids. What made you, what brought that emotion on? What made you fall in love with them?
I think just seeing their personalities and the love that they have, the joy that little things mean so much. One little, that we talk about that at work all the time, celebrating little milestones, whether that's taking off a shoe or stringing one bead. Those little things are meaningful, and just seeing that joy, and then also, being around others that want those kids to succeed as well.
Yeah, that's huge.
At schools, yeah.
The community around that is absolutely huge.
Yes.
What is, for families who might have an individual with Down syndrome in a school, not necessarily the ones that you have contracts with, but any school, what would like a day in the life of that individual be like in the school when it comes to OT? Like, is it the majority of their day? Do they have an aide with them maybe the whole day, or what does that kind of look like?
It just depends. Typically when they're younger, they'll start out with a full-time aide, para that will help them throughout the day, and a teacher. Depending on their challenges, sometimes they are in the classroom. I mean, the goal obviously is to get them in the classroom around their peers as much as we can. That's always the goal that I have with when working with OT. But so they will be mostly, they'll just have a daily schedule. Yeah. So they might go to specials with their class, or they might eat lunch with their class, and then slowly progress up to more and more. I've had those individuals. By high school, they may be attending a few classes with them for what they can do, and they'll modify the curriculum based on their needs. So, and obviously it just depends a lot on their level too.
Yeah. Chloe and I were actually talking about how last month on our podcast, how when we were in school, mine, dating myself a little bit, but was the early 2000s when I was in high school, and hers like a little later on. But, you never saw a lot of individuals with disabilities involved in any of them. They had their own classroom. They ate in their classroom, did that type of stuff. So it's really cool to see individuals with disabilities, any disability, starting to be included in the schools. And I'm assuming with the two schools that you're involved with, that's something that they're doing and trying to make a bigger effort of, hopefully.
Yes, I think it's still revolving, and it still needs to keep happening and pushing forward with that. But some of the kiddos that I have and we still are involved with to this day that we're buddies with, they have a big community support. They know everybody knows them. They feel loved and accepted. There's obviously, as they get older, it gets a little harder when they get to be teenagers. Yeah. So if they don't continue to have, some buddies and things to do stuff with, sometimes it can feel a little isolating. But for the most part, just keeping them involved is helpful. So
and you kind of just started answering the next question I was going to ask, but being in the school, so you're around it, you see everything. How important, or like, what have you seen changes with individuals with Down syndrome or something when they are included into these type of things, into the classroom, into lunches and things like that? Are you seeing any changes in their behaviors?
Or absolutely. I mean, having friends and buddies to them is everything, and in return, the other kiddos in the school, it's important for them too. I mean, that's the key. They have, I have with my boys in particular, who are 19 and 23 now, but since they were young, I think Cooper, I started taking him to work around 5, and Colin was probably around 4. I just wanted them to grow up, being around that, seeing the joy, developing those relationships, because it's just even outside. So in return, they're still friends with a couple of our buddies, and I can say Kobe and David today. So they go to games with us. Colin and David Snapchat and FaceTime probably daily. So
that's really cool.
Yeah,
we could have had you on last month too. I mean, that's what we were kind of talking about is including, not just individuals with Down syndrome, but individuals with disability in your everyday life. And there's no reason not to.
Right.
And how, conversations are the same and everything like that. And that's something that I've taught, my wife and I have taught our kids is, it's just another person. Everybody has differences. And so it's just another person, and we get to know them and get to talk to them. So I love that you said how it's important for the other kids at school. And in your school situations, for some families, this could be scary. Some families,
absolutely.
It could be scary for their child to be put into a school situation with other kids who do not have that same disability. Are you seeing the kids at those schools, though, just maybe to kind of relieve some parents' that might be a little anxious? I mean, for the most part, are you seeing a positive reaction from the other students?
Typically, I see positive reactions with that. And we will, especially a special education teacher, some of the therapists will try to talk with, the kids in the classroom about, hey, this is your friend. They have a little more challenges. They're going to need a little buddy, and just kind of talk through some of those things with them on the age appropriate level. So overall, there's a lot of acceptance with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And now you mentioned not only in some stuff that we asked you to kind of fill out, but also you kind of just talked about that and how close you guys have grown to some families with individuals with Down syndrome and things like that. How has that impacted you to maybe do your job even better than you had in the past, or maybe your family as a whole? How has that kind of impacted your guys' dynamic a little bit?
Honestly, it's life-changing. I mean, to be led to this profession, I am forever grateful, just because it has led us to all of these wonderful kids who are part of our life, and they're part of our family, and their families even, we consider to be part of our family as well. There's another little girl that has moved out of the district, in third grade, but I continue to stay in touch with her family and do things. She had a baseball game at Miracle Field. That's another spot that's great for kids with challenges and special needs, so that they can go and be a part of, a sport where they feel accepted and loved, and everyone's cheering them on. So, but our life as a whole, I mean, it's just better. It's just the joy that we have from our buddies is undeniable. I mean, it's everything.
That's really cool. That's great to hear. So let's say a family has a child in a school, not at the two schools that you're at, obviously, because they have contracts for those schools, but a school that doesn't have a contract with an OT or anything like that, and they have a child with Down syndrome. What are some tools or strategies that this family can go to the school with to try to advocate for their child a little bit better in the school? Yeah.
They can meet with a special education director and bring forth, their concerns and things, and request an evaluation. So that would be step one, is a request an evaluation. And then, just keep advocating. You've got to advocate for your child, and keep pushing for what you think they need, and work with the school on that is the best recommendations I can give for that. So,
and if it's not school based, I'm assuming, again, I don't know much about the OT world, but I'm assuming there's several, at least here in the Springfield area where we're at in Springfield, Missouri, I'm assuming there's several OTs that could do, outside of school.
Yeah, there are businesses and companies that do service kids with special needs and all kinds of disabilities. And I have families that will do that even in the summer, or they'll do that in conjunction with school therapy.
Okay.
So a lot of families will do that as well. Not a lot. I shouldn't say a lot, but I do have a handful that do that. Yeah.
Are there any experiences or stories of a specific individual, and you don't have to name names or anything, but just something that, you've seen how OT has changed their life or anything like that? You have anything? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here a little bit, but anything come to mind of a kid or two over your years that you've really seen a change, and maybe what drew that change?
I think overall it's a team effort. I mean, OT, yes, there are a lot of gains you can make with a lot of things like activities of daily living at school, getting your lunch opened, being able to manipulate a pencil, work on a computer, and a lot of peer things that we work on as well, interaction. But I think, honestly, it's more a group effort. We all meet and come together to figure out what goals these children, what's going to help them the best, because they're also individualized, I would say.
Okay.
There's not just one or two set goals that we say, well, we're just going to throw this. We sit down and we actually evaluate and figure out, and then progress each year with those goals depending on their level and their needs.
Okay, so it could change on a year-to-year basis, or do they wait for year to year, or does it happen? Could it be month to month, or
it's year to year? We usually go in once a year, and it's called an IEP, and we have a meeting, and then we go through all the goals and discuss how we're going to update and what their level of functioning there, and then what else we want to progress up to for them to continue succeeding at school.
And obviously, some are probably functioning at a higher level than others.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like that. And so I'm assuming these plans can be very specific to the individual.
Right, very.
So that's really cool. So obviously, we were talking about OT being in school and being outpatient and things like that. But what if a family just has an individual at home, an individual with Down syndrome at home? What are some simple things that maybe a family could do at home with their child or with their young adult or their adult that would help them with things like motor skills? What are some simple practical things that families could do?
As far as younger goes, I mean, there's so many things you can do. A lot of sensory-based, multi-sensory things. You can use wiki sticks. You can use clothespins to match letters, numbers, or just work on strengthening. Tongs for scissor skills. Breaking crayons into small pieces to work on that grasp. Using shaving cream to make shapes and letters and things like that. And then for the older kids, a lot of it just helping them be more independent, like putting away dishes, getting themselves dressed, taking a shower, personal hygiene, things like that. It would be a thing. We use a lot of visual support, so it can be pictures to help them be more independent, or if they can read, we can do a checklist, things like that, so they can work on those independent skills.
Okay. Close us out here. I'm going to ask two more questions. One's a little personal that you kind of already answered a little bit, but I feel like it's so important for people who may not have an individual or know an individual with Down syndrome that are listening to our podcast. And I love asking our guests this kind of question, but what's the Down syndrome community? Obviously, you've been involved with it for several decades now. What's it kind of taught you about life?
It's just, we talk about this, my boys and I do some too, and my husband. Just the simple joy, just simple fun, a lot of laughter, a lot of silliness, not take everything so, uptight, I guess.
Yeah.
And in return, we have a lot of boys that are at our house. Like we're the house. Okay. We have, boys in and out all the time. They're like my own kids too. So they've developed these relationships with these boys too. So that means everything to me as well, that they have, learned how to, just be a part of their life and, get to know them and, communicate with them even outside of our house. So that's important to me as well.
I love that answer. And it's something we hit on. Any listener that's listened for a long time knows that Chloe and I hit on it frequently, that just step into, like here in Springfield, we have the Upside Down Mercantile. Mm-hmm. You could step in the door and literally there's nothing but a smile that comes to your face with how happy and just the vibe in the room is. It's just a joyful presence. So I absolutely love it.
It's undeniable. And just helping others see the beauty and the importance of these kids and adults. Know better, do better. That's my motto at home. Like once you know better, do better with things. So I just am hoping that people will continually become more aware and they will understand then what that brings to their life as well.
No, that's so good. And I just want to reiterate for the listeners, for those with individuals with Down syndrome, we've talked about, how if your child's in school, how you can kind of advocate for them there if they don't have this type of OT program. And then a little bit of outside of school for I don't want to call it outpatient OT, but just going to a facility or something like that. Is it as simple as just, calling around, or do you have any, we're not a promotion podcast or anything, nobody paid us for this, but are there any companies or resources
there's
that
a
you would
place
recommend?
called Dynamic Strides.
Okay.
It's around Republic area. They also do horseback riding for kids, and then they have therapists as well. They take new patients. They also, I know Cox and Mercy both have outpatient, so those would be some avenues to look into as well to help with the home-based, things.
Yeah.
With my kids and families, I'm always willing to give ideas, and we can't necessarily set goals, but I'm always happy to talk with them about things they can do to help at home as well with things that aren't necessarily school-based. So.
Oh, that's really cool. And I'm going to ask, we don't always ask this because I feel like we cover a lot of topics, but is there anything that I've missed? I mean, is there anything that you would want to say that I've just missed the ball on and we need to get this out there?
The main thing, like I said, is I just, I had a friend from high school message me on social media, and she just said, I love seeing, it's helping me be more aware and understanding and the love that a lot of these individuals with disabilities have.
Yeah.
And that's just my whole, I guess, purpose is I just want others to understand and know that having them part of their lives is going to make their life greater, as well as including them as well. So.
That's awesome, Natalie. Well, I really appreciate you being on our podcast this month. It's been a pleasure to have this conversation, and I know the listeners are going to learn a lot from it as well. So we love just having people give insight to their world and how it can benefit the individuals and benefit individuals with Down syndrome. So really appreciate you coming on. Yeah.
Loved it.
For everybody else, we appreciate you listening. Thanks so much for joining us this month. Exciting news. We have finally gotten our setup on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and so you can go and subscribe there and just listen. We're still on the YouTube channel as well if you would like to see our faces as we're talking. So feel free to go out there and share it and like and subscribe everything. And we appreciate you guys and look forward to talking to you again next month.
If you would like to learn more about Upside Down Mercantile, you can go to shopupsidedown.com or visit us on Commercial Street in Springfield, Missouri. If you have a topic you'd like to know more about, you can email them to info@dsgo.life.